This is a Pele Media podcast.
Welcome back to Goonies Minute, everybody. Goonies Minute is the fan podcast where we carefully dissect and analyze and explore the film Goonies minute by minute. I'm Brady.
And I'm ready to dissect, and this is Chris.
Yeah, that's right. Man, I do not have a whole lot for minute number 28.
Great,
here.
I have a lot.
All right, awesome, thank God. Well, with that said, let's get into it.
Okay, let's get into the minute.
All right. In the previous minute, we saw Troy grab Brand's hand and take off in the car. He let go of Brand just in time to send him flying off of the cliff, nowhere to be seen. Meanwhile, the Goonies have found the next location according to the doubloon and the map. At minute 28, Mouth begins to translate what is written on the map. The directions send the boys 100 paces from where they are standing to an abandoned restaurant. At 28 minutes and 40 seconds, the Goonies duck for cover as they spot two strangers walking into the restaurant. At 28 minutes and 50 seconds, Chunk says that he's not so sure. Why would people be walking into the restaurant if it's now abandoned? And thus ends minute 28 of the Goonies.
Okay, at the end of the last minute, minute 27, Mouth was translating the Spanish. So at the beginning of minute 28, you're getting even better look at the map, and you can really look at it closely and see that the blood looks pretty new, and everything else on there is pretty old looking. But he starts talking about, I can't understand everything, but basically 10 times 10, 100 paces, supposedly like 100 paces from where they are to where they need to be. And basically that they say something about the restaurant, and they want to know what way north is. Of course, Data's the only one that knows anything about what direction they're in. But in the translation, that's where you will find the treat.
Yeah.
And then they start getting excited. It's like, well, that's where the treasure is. It's got to be that way. So it's pretty cool. There's another awesome shot right after that, and you see the camera is high in the air looking down, and you see that weird looking tree. It's really amazing looking tree. It almost doesn't even look real.
It does. Yeah, it's kind of out of place.
And then they pan down to behind the kids, and you see that restaurant, which is really an amazing looking old, creepy looking place.
Yeah, so the restaurant, I was a little disappointed to find out that it was actually built by the film crew. It's not a real location sitting out there, but
that sucks.
I know. The Lighthouse Lounge, aka the Fratelli's hideout, is in Ecola Park. I believe I'm saying that right. Ecola Park on Indian Beach there in Oregon. And that's about all the information I was able to find on it. But in terms of that shot you were talking about where they start taking their 100 paces up towards the restaurant.
Doesn't it look like it's a lot more than 100 paces?
Yeah, a little bit. But and the camera kind of, comes down from that odd-looking tree. There's something it's very hard to articulate, if at all possible, about this shot, about this moment. It's got something to do with the fact that the camera is behind and up high, far away from the kids. The way the music sort of kicks in.
Yes.
The melody that it starts to hit.
Okay, I'm glad you're mentioning that, and I don't mean to steal your thunder. But you hear that discovery music, but then you have so much more of the symphony behind it, the horns or trumpets or whatever, and it's really builds. It's builds. Like a combination of the music.
Exactly. Suddenly the score is taking on something else.
It's covering, that's the word I need to use.
Well, it's covering new ground. Right. And the camera work is kind of got a little bit more of an impact. And there's something to do with the fact that they've got their arms around each other. They're kind of skipping along. They're chit-chatting with each other, being kids, and we are seeing this from sort of like a bird's eye view. We're not in the adventure next to these kids anymore. We are seeing this film, this adventure, whatever, from the outside, and there's something very poignant about this. And I think we've seen these kids, we've been right alongside them the entire time as they're being enthusiastic, they're being childlike, they're on this adventure, and now suddenly for the first time, we're kind of outside of that, and we're watching them engage in this mystery. And it's a very well done moment. And it just hits a certain chord, I think. And apparently it does with you too. I was thinking I was the only one here. But all those elements come into play perfectly with this music covering new ground. The camera work suddenly a little bit more exaggerated than we've seen. And we're witnessing this thing suddenly from the outside of their adventure. and it's a neat moment.
Exactly, and when right before they get to the restaurant, they have some kind of neat stuff outside. You see the old train wheels,
Yeah, whatever that is.
which I thought, well,
Yeah.
that's just like the wheels of what would be a box car or some type of train car. Were you into trains when you were younger?
Dude, I had a model train set. It was
I
pretty
had a model
awesome.
train set.
Yeah, and then a dog got to it.
Yeah, and then I had all like the book. I had model train set. I had the books about trains. I used to
Yeah.
like to go on the tracks and find the date nails
Oh yeah,
and
Yeah.
the spikes and everything. Fortunately, I never got run over by a train or anything.
that's good because Goonies Minute never would have happened, or it
Yeah,
wouldn't have
I
been
know,
the same.
I know.
Did you ever go? This is only going to appeal to local listeners, so I'll keep it brief.
I think I know what you're going to
Yes,
say, but go ahead.
the I can't remember.
Downtown?
Yes, downtown.
Oh,
was
yes,
the
absolutely.
Science History Museum.
I don't even know, but it was that train and you used to go up
They
and down
had-
there and they
they had an antique train, like a full train outside
it
of
was
this
like
place.
a passenger train.
Yes, because it was at one point a train station, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
it was.
Yes, and you could walk into the train cars, and they would have mannequins set up in period clothes and with prop food in front of them in some of the dining
and
cars and everything.
wasn't the
The
smell in there
it just
unique?
smelled like old.
Yeah, it's one of the most unique smells, and to this day, I can remember how that smelled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It
yeah.
was just this old,
kind of musky.
It's just musky. It just was. And I've been in places where you smell like old stuff, but it's like because it's so confined to a small area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's one of the most unique smells I've
It really
ever
was.
had.
And then they took a bunch of the train cars away, so then suddenly it was just the engine. They closed it so you couldn't go in
Right,
anymore.
right.
And then it was just the train engine, and now that's gone.
Yeah, I haven't even been.
I
there
have no
lately,
idea
but-
where they took any of that, but you can still see the remnants of the original train tracks right there.
So yeah, no, I mean it's cool for anybody in Baton Rouge.
Right.
Anybody else? Maybe they've been in a train before, an old train.
Yeah.
But that's just when I saw those wheels like that. It's kind of
reminded me
weird.
of
It's
that,
like, I wonder what made them think to put that there.
Yeah.
Because you're saying the restaurant was created for the movie, so they actually
had to bring
had to
that
have
in
some
too.
type of thought process.
Yeah.
But you were talking when we were off air, quote unquote, earlier about this restaurant of who built it. Why was it built there? What was the thought process involved of whoever built that because of it's above the caves?
Right, correct.
Yeah. and that's really interesting.
Yes.
What do you think? I mean, they had to know something.
Okay. So that kind of answers the question a little bit about how the map and the doubloon got out and the story. So somebody would have had to have known to build something over there, kind of a patsy, so to speak, over this spot in the ground where you go and you can finally get down into the caves. That is what the fireplace in the restaurant is over.
Right.
So somebody would have had to, there's no chance in that, to have magically put a fake fireplace hearth over this hole in the ground to get down into the caves. Someone would have had to have built this restaurant knowing that was there as sort of a cover so that only they had access to it. And now, of course, it's abandoned. So that's just like, that sort of broadens this whole mythos about how many people knew about the legend. As Brad
Right.
says, everybody and their grandfather or whatever went looking for it.
But I wonder if all those people that went looking for it knew that was the
restaurant.
entrance.
Yeah. I mean,
Or only a couple people knew, or nobody knew, or only the person that, we don't know. I mean, there might have been other ways to go look for that
Yes.
treasure incorrectly.
and incorrectly. Now, Chester Copperpot would have had some other means aside from having the map and the doubloon to find it.
Right.
So whoever got the story, whichever one of One-Eyed Willie's men got out with the map and the doubloon, told somebody, and that story was sort of like somebody played basically like a game of telephone over the years. And everybody would have had their own way of finding their way to the restaurant, to the tunnel, and into the caves. And no one has had the best source of getting there until now. And it happens to be 4 little boys.
Right.
So we've had other Goonies, if you will, other explorers with their own methods of getting down there. But nobody has had the best way to get down there, and in turn, the most dangerous way. No one's been more open to the disaster of finding this
And
pirate ship
part
until
of it,
now.
and it's like when they're running up and skipping up,
Yeah.
all of a sudden they don't have fear again, and then it's like it goes in and out of fear. Like I guess a kid could have, because they're excited about the adventure, they're excited, but then all of a sudden they get scared with certain things happening.
I've made a correlation to this movie and The Lord of the Rings before, or I guess The Hobbit for that matter, in the sense that it's the only people who are going to be able to take on this mission are little kids who don't know fear, like you're talking about, and can look past fear through their excitement.
Take a little common sense away, too.
Take a little common sense away, and those are the only people who can do it. In Lord of the Rings, for example, the hobbits, little Frodo Baggins was the only person that could be sent out on this mission because he had no sense of the reality of the situation or fear. I don't know. I kind of see a little bit of correlation.
So you have like I was saying, the skipping and the happiness, and then they notice the two people, a sedan, and then they notice two people walking in, and at that point, Chunk gets scared. It's like, why are two people walking in there? This is a summer place, and that's kind of where it ends. And then you see the little welcome sign. Have you ever seen a welcome sign like that?
Like the open closed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like where like the wind was like whipping it like that. I've never seen it. That's the first time I've ever seen anything like that.
First time I've ever seen one, and I was kind of like, this is kind of pointless that someone would put this in this area.
It was weird. And they made it a point to focus in on
they really
that.
did. Now, the wind factor on this part, this location...
Yeah, that would make...
would
you
have,
could understand that.
Yeah, would have never changed. So that makes you think that sign has been doing that forever.
Yeah.
Since some idiot decided to buy that and put it there. So
exactly. So
good job.
But that's pretty much all I have. I mean, we're about to have some stuff happen, but with the two people walking in, you know, we'll get into them in the next minute.
That's true. All right, well, that's all I've got too. So everybody, thank you so much for joining in and exploring minute 28. Tomorrow we're going to be back with minute number 29, and until then, I'm Brady.
And this is Chris.
And we're here to remind you that Goonies
never say die.
Goonies Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the show, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can find us at GooniesMinute.com, Facebook.com/GooniesMinute, Twitter.com/GooniesMinute, and at Instagram @GooniesMinute. You can contact us at GooniesMinute@gmail.com. You've been listening to a Pele Media podcast. For premium content and exclusive podcasts, visit us at patreon.com/Pele Media. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Pele Media and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Pele Media.